Good morning, students. Welcome you all to the class of History Civics. As you all know, today's Google Meet couldn't be successful, so I am just preparing a video for the same, and you just watch it carefully. Okay. So I am going to just tell you about the outbreak of this revolt. Then we will know about the causes of the failure of this revolt and consequences. Okay. So one by one, I am discussing all the points. First of all, the outbreak of this revolt. The beginning. Outbreak means the beginning, the start of this revolt. So this great uprising of 1857, it started on May 10th of May in the year 1857, when a sepoy at Barakpur cantonment, Mangal Pandey, okay, he refused to use the grease cartridges. So he was punished for that, this refusal. Then what happened? The fellow prisoners, at once they released the other soldiers and they rushed towards Delhi. Then on 12th May, they just recaptured, they seized Delhi and declared Bahadur Shah Zafar as their emperor. Then after Delhi, the revolt, this uprising broke out at Lucknow, where Begum Hazrat Mahal led the revolt. Then after it, here Kanpur the revolt spread, and here Nana Sahib led the revolt. Then at Bareilly, Jhansi, Gwalior. So in most of the part, slowly and gradually, this revolt spread. But one by one after the other, Britishers just crushed this revolt. First they just recaptured Delhi and imprisoned the emperor. Then at Lucknow also, Begum just fled to the Nepal. Nana Sahib also, he was crushed, he fled to Nepal. And Jhansi, Rani of Jhansi, and Tatya Tope, they all just was crushed by the Britishers. So finally we can say this revolt, this great uprising, it was a good attempt, okay, against the Britishers, but this in Indians they failed. So let us know the reasons of their failure. So this rising, it was suppressed by the Britishers, and various reasons were responsible for it. For example, this rising, okay, couldn't become an all India struggle. It was not a struggle of national level. Okay, why? Because number of states such as Kashmir, Sindh, Rajputana and most of the Punjab didn't participate in this uprising. Second reason for its failure was all the classes of the society and all the Indian rulers didn't join the rising. On the others, many Indian rulers like Nabha, Patiala, Jind, Jodhpur, Sindhia, Holkar, Nizam, Nawab of Bhopal and Zamindar, all the big merchants, they were all supporting the company's government in this uprising. And the rebels, Indian sepoys, they were not having the modern weapons and other war materials, whereas the company's government was having good supply of man, money and arms from the England. Okay, the British government was providing them all the modern means of just war, money also. So they were all having all the just resources of war. And this rising, this revolt was not well planned. It started before the scheduled time. So for all these reasons, this revolt, this uprising failed. Now children, let me just tell you about the consequences of this war of independence. Means what result came. What happened after this revolt? Okay, let us know. So first of all, let us know about the changes in the administrative setup of the Britishers. It is very important to learn. Some points you have to remember from this section. Administrative changes. After this War of Independence of 1857, in India, companies rule. East India Company's rule came to an end and Indian Empire went under the direct control of the crown. Means Queen Victoria became the Queen of India. Okay, and this change was done under the Government of India Act 1858, and this Government of India 1858 was having the following provisions. So listen all these provisions very carefully. You have to remember certain points. For example, This according to this act, now the powers to govern India were transferred from East India Company to British Crown. Second thing, the board of control was abolished and board of directors had no powers left. Now the powers were to be exercised by another official, Secretary of State for India. Okay, and the Secretary of India he was to be assisted by 15-member India Council, and the Governor General was given the title of Viceroy. So Lord Canning became the first Viceroy of India. Okay, and the higher services were reserved only for Englishmen. The Indian Universities Act set up universities at Calcutta, Bombay and Madras, and appointments to the civil services were to be made by the open constitution, means competitive exams were to be held for the appointments in civil services under rules made by the Secretary of State. Okay. So these were all the administrative changes. Now let us know about Queen's Proclamation of 1858. So Lord Canning announced Queen Victoria's proclamation. So Queen Victoria just declared, what she declared? Listen. All the treaties that the princes had concluded with the East India Company would be honoured. Means whatever the compromises, whatever the treaties were made by the princely state with East India Company, though East India Company was no longer in power, but Queen announced that all treaties will be honoured, and doctrine of lapse policy came to an end. It was abolished. Okay, and next important thing, announcement, the British government just took several methods, several steps to weaken the Indian military, literally weak. Okay, and the office of Peshwa was abolished. Okay. And after this revolt, Britishers, to harsh enemy, Mughals and Peshwa, they came to an end. Nana Sahib fled to Nepal, and Bahadur Shah Zafar, he was sent to Rangoon. So Mughals and Peshwa both just abolished after this revolt of 1857. And Queen Victoria made certain promises to the people of India. For example, no interference will be made by the Britishers in the social and religious beliefs of the people, and equal treatment will be given to all the people, okay, both Indians and Europeans, and to admit Indians to all offices without discrimination of caste or race. Means all Indians will be admitted, will be appointed in all the offices without any discrimination, and to develop industries and promote works of public utility. Okay. Then the important changes which you have to learn. This is changes in the army organization. So listen here. A Royal Indian Army was created, merging the army of company and the crown under a commander-in-chief. First thing. Second thing, the ratio of Europeans and Indians in the army was rearranged. Earlier it was somewhat equal, but now this ratio of Indian and European soldiers was rearranged respectively to 1:2 in Bengal and 2:5 in Bombay. Then Indian soldiers, they were excluded from the artillery and arsenals, okay, and supply of newspapers and magazines, they were stopped to the soldiers, and distinction was made, differences were made, okay, on the just marital and non-marital race, martial and non-martial races. The sepoys belonging to different castes and creeds, they were all merged with the same regiment. So a sense of unity in them may not develop. Means the sepoys who belong to different communities, different castes, they were all mixed up in the same regiment. Okay. The new army left out the Brahmins and Rajput of Awadh from the new arrangement. According to the new arrangement, now the Brahmins and Rajputs, they were not taken in the army. Now Sikh, Gorkha, Pathan, they were just included in the army, and all the important positions, all the key places, they were kept under the charge of the British soldiers. And Indians in the army, they were not appointed on the higher rank, higher than that of a Subedar. They were not given the higher offices, higher posts. Okay, these are some major changes, some remaining changes I will discuss with you in the next video. Till then, watch this video. If you are having query, any problem, you can ask me. Okay, have a good day.